The dream is always the same. I'm watching the Bears, but instead of the 2018 Bears, I'm watching old games. Vintage tape. Some from before I was even born. Walter in the 70s, Buddy Ryan and the Shuffling Crew in the 80s, Mike Brown in 01, Brian Urlacher in 06. I'm sure something happened in the 90s, I just can't remember. As I watch all these great players and inventive schemes, I find myself searching, looking for something. A quarterback. But few seem to be there. McMahon did what he had to. Kramer had a year. Jim Miller was there, I think. And Cutler just didn't seem to care. And as I fish through the tape, I suddenly find myself in 2018. And then I see it. A quarterback. Making plays. Putting up stats. Getting wins. And I think to myself, how can this be? Why haven't I heard about this? After all these years lacking a playmaker behind center, shouldn't this be bigger news? Where are all the talking heads heaping praise, talking about progression from year 1 to year 2? Where are all the people who were lauding Carson Wentz and Jared Goff for similar progression? Where are all the people who were fawning over Deshaun Watson last year? And that's when I wake up. I rub my eyes, grumble to myself, dude, Mr. Trubisky looks good. Like, really good. And I don't get why more people aren't talking about it. Look, before anyone jumps on me, I know he's coming off an injury, and I also know his last 2 games were tough ones against the Vikings and the Rams. He's not a finished product yet, and I don't want to give the impression that he is. He's still inexperienced. I mean, the kid's only got 36 starts under his belt, and that's including college. He's still adjusting to the NFL, especially after being handcuffed to the shit show that was the John Fox Bears in 2017. He's in his 3rd offensive system in as many years, so obviously he's still learning how to play in it, this league, and with these teammates, many of whom are new this year. But even with all that stacked against him, he's playing pretty well. Yeah, the consistency isn't quite there yet, but it seems like every week it's getting closer. I mean, the kid's growing up, and considering what the Bears QB situation has been for, like, my entire life and then some, it's an awesome thing to watch happen. And I just wish more people were as excited about it as I am. So I'm gonna take off my objectivity hat here for a bit, pick up my pom-poms, and do a little bit of cheerleading for the kid. I may or may not put on the skirt. It depends on my mood, and whether or not the neighbors are home. They like to watch. Hey, I don't blame you if you didn't think Trubisky was having a good year. A lot of folks in the national sports media have been lukewarm on him at best, despite 2 Air Player and an Offensive Player of the Week awards to his name this season. I keep hearing that he only puts up good numbers because of inferior competition, or because, God forbid, his receivers are actually getting open. I mean, do you ever hear that brought up when people are talking about Patrick Mahomes? And his receivers get open more than my bottle of whiskey during the Mark Trestman era. I mean, am I bitter? Yeah, I'm bitter. Deal with it. Here's the thing. Trubisky's putting up solid numbers. He's getting better every week, and he's helping the first place Bears win games. So why are so many people being so quick to dismiss him? Well, hang in there, baby birds, because I'm gonna feed you. Back on draft day 2017, a lot of people freaked the hell out because the Bears not only selected Trubisky, but traded up a spot to do it. They said the Bears sold the farm, ignoring the fact that a third and fourth rounder plus a future third is pretty much market value for that kind of trade-up, not to mention it being far from a mortgaging of the future that some idiots claimed. No offense if you were one of those idiots. Alright, maybe a little offense. Look, I get the idea that the trade might not have been necessary. I mean, it's possible Trubisky would have been there at 3, we don't know. But it's also possible that the Browns or some other QB-needy team were trying to trade up to that spot as well. I mean, there's plenty of reports that they were. But the Bears, only being a single pick lower, were the more attractive option for John Lynch and the Niners. End of the day, the Bears did what they felt they had to. And no matter how I personally feel about the trade, I get it. And I'm not going to hold it against them. The chuckleheads in the sports media, not so much. And that original hot take about the trade and pick seems to have stuck with a lot of people. And they've let it influence their opinion of the player. They hated the move, probably because they didn't see it coming, and they screamed to the rooftops about what a huge mistake the Bears made. And ever since, whether consciously or not, they've been trying to prove themselves right by trashing the kid. Because, hey, what's more important, reality or protecting your ego from having to admit you made a shitty call in the heat of the moment? Crap, it's the second one, isn't it? I hate 2018. On top of that, it's pretty clear to me at least, that a lot of the talking heads don't actually watch the games or break down the film on the players they're talking about. They saw Trubisky play a handful of times last season under John Fox's patented run, short pass, punt system. Truly one for the ages. They saw him play against the Packers and the Seahawks in primetime, weeks 1 and 2 in a brand new offense, and then again versus a tough Vikings defense. And every other week seemed to just check box scores and opponents, then filter those stats through their preformed negative opinion. And that's how you get national media personalities comparing him to Blake Bortles. I mean, seriously? Blake Bortles? The fuck? But look, I'm here to tell you, that ain't even close to accurate. The kid's progressing incredibly well and playing some really good football. Seriously, before missing 2 games, he was on pace for a similar second season to Jared Goff last year, who was consistently praised, and not that far behind Carson Wentz's second-year pace, and that dude was getting MVP buzz before his injury. I mean, really think about that for a second, and then consider the type of press coverage that Trubisky's gotten this season. I mean, that's messed up, right? Alright, I need to calm down. And since my doctor says I have a drinking problem, whatever that means, I guess we'll just watch some tape instead of tying one on. Pfft, doctors. What do they know with their education and experience? Whatever. Anyway, let's take a look at these throws from week 1 against the Packers. You see those breakdowns in mechanics? Those sidearms? You see that indecision? You see, that's a young QB learning a new system. You gotta expect that. Quarterback is the single most difficult position to play in sports. So what you gotta keep an eye out for early on are plays like this. First off, the Bears love these 11 personnel trips wide formations. Seriously, they run them a ton. Just so we're all on the same page, 11 personnel is just 1 running back and 1 tight end, and trips wide just means 3 wide receivers to one side of the formation. They give teams a lot of different concepts and wrinkles out of this basic look in order to keep them guessing. It's a really good strategy that you'll see guys like Sean McVay and Doug Peterson use too. It helps keep the defense from being able to guess what you're going to do just based off the formation that you're running. Now, I could go through all the details of the play itself, but nah, doesn't matter. Why? Because I'm pretty sure Trubisky decided where he's going to go with the ball before he's even snapped. He saw single coverage on Robinson and that was it. I mean, look at White over there, all by himself, no defender within 7 yards of him, completely ignored in favor of Robinson, who was in tight coverage. Poor little guy. But none of that's really important here this early in the season. What is that Trubisky not only trusted his arm, but he trusted his receiver to make a catch in traffic. And it paid off. He dropped the ball into tight coverage and Robinson made a stupid grab. There wasn't any strategy involved. He didn't read the defense or understand the intricacies of his offense because he wasn't experienced enough to do that yet. He just made the play. And that's important because not everybody can do that. See, this is the type of big play ability that Trubisky's been flashing all year. Yeah, the consistency hasn't been there all season, and to start the year, most of his wow moments came on early scripted plays. Well, I mean, the ones that didn't come on the ground anyway, because, dude, that boy can run. But, you know, those were the plays he was most comfortable with early on, so it shouldn't really be that big of a surprise. But as the weeks tick by, though, you're starting to see these big passing plays pop up later and later in the game. He's getting comfortable in the offense, and as that continues, he's only going to get better. And that's aided by Nagy getting more comfortable as a play caller too. A lot of people forget he didn't have a ton of experience doing that coming into the season. He only called 5 games for the Chiefs in 2017, so Trubisky's not the only one learning on the job here. Alright, let's jump ahead to Week 10 against Detroit and see how things have progressed. This play takes place late in the first quarter, which should be late enough to be past the scripted portion of Nagy's play sheet. The Bears are in an 11 personnel trips wide look. Never heard that before. Doesn't matter. The Lions are in a 3-3-5 nickel, which means 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. It's a fairly standard nickel formation. They're running the cover 3 zone out of it, with the outside corners covering the outside deep thirds, the free safety covering the middle deep third, the nickelback and Mike backer covering the hook zones, the strong safety covering the curl/out zones, the will backer playing the running back, likely with flat responsibilities as well, and finally the Sam backers rushing the passer. First off, Trubisky recognizes the coverage pre-snap and checks into another play at the line. The call here is Madden, which I thought was a pretty baller move considering it involves 4 guys just going deep. Alright, let's do this. Come on. Oh, horse shit! Man, fuck this game. I'm done. Alright, one more play. Breaking it down, Broniker, Robinson, and Gabriel all run go routes, which is just a straight shot down the field, leverages and releases aside, and Miller runs a deep crosser. Now, since this is against a cover 3, there's some vulnerable areas. First is the box or delay. Second is the flats. And last is the seams between the deep thirds. For those who don't know, a seam is just the area where 2 zone coverages meet. As we roll through the play, that's exactly what we see open up. However, since this play didn't have any short routes other than Cohen leaking out over the middle for a potential dump off, the seams are going to be the main target. Trubisky first checks a middle. He sees the Mike working back into the hook/curl zone like expected, but instead of passing Miller off, he turns and sticks to him. My guess here is the Lions did their homework. The Bears have had some big receptions on exactly this kind of route out of similar formations. I may or may not have covered one of those plays in a previous video. Like and subscribe. Shameless self-promotion aside, I'm betting they made it a point to take that route away. So with the left side seam covered up, that just left the right side seam as the lone vulnerable area downfield. Now, the window's tight, but Trubisky drops an absolute dime in there to Robinson. There was literally no other spot where he could have put that ball where it's a completed pass. Any shorter and the strong safety gets a hand on it. Any longer and the outside corner is able to close. Dude, it was perfect. Just like the first play I showed you, Trubisky trusted his arm and he trusted his receiver. That hasn't changed. What did was that instead of reading single coverage and just going up top to that receiver, he read the defense as a whole. He recognized its weaknesses, he checked to a play that exploited those weaknesses, made post-snap coverage reads, and then dropped a pass in the bucket for a big gain. And no matter what some people want to tell you, that wasn't bad coverage. It was just great offensive execution. But more than that, it was growth. It was progression. That's just what good quarterbacks do. Look, like I said before, he ain't a finished product yet. His consistency still isn't quite there, and honestly, that's kind of scary. If he's playing this well while he's still figuring things out, just imagine what he could be when he's got it all down. And regardless of what the national sports media seems to think, that has to be something that keeps not just the NFC North, but the entire NFL up at night. And man, that's something I never thought I'd get the chance to say about a Chicago Bears quarterback. Strange days, huh? Look, I'm going to ignore the media and just enjoy the ride. And I think you all should do the same. If I had the chance to say one thing to Trubisky right now, just one piece of quasi-philosophical wisdom to impart, it'd be this. It's a time of your life, huh, kid?
going to have some faith in Spencer Ware and thinking that, you know, he can do some things. I'm keeping my eyes on this matchup right here.
Spencer
You got your
Ware's out.
linebacker. I'm sorry?
Spencer Ware is out.
Oh, yes, I forgot. I'm sorry,
Out
Max.
with a
I'm
foot,
sorry.
yeah.
Absolutely, he is out. But I'm thinking Tyreek Hill. I'm thinking Patrick Mahomes. I'm also looking at the San Diego Chargers on offense, and I'm thinking about Hunter Henry and the way that he's played this year and as effective as he's been. He's going up against Derek Johnson, and I got to keep my eyes on that because I'm looking at it from the standpoint. Listen, here's where I'm at with all of this.